Hey, welcome everyone. I hope you're doing well. We wanted to come with some information around our bond. Tomorrow is a big day. It's election day. Polls will be open from 8 a.m. in the morning to 8 p.m. And we hope you get out and vote. One of our goals for the last 2 months is to be as transparent as we can and to share information with you about what this bond would mean for our school district and for our public. So just a couple of things that we've done the last couple of months. We've had 4 open houses around our school district, open those up to the community at each of our high schools, a couple at Napa High. We did a couple of site visits and tours, allowed folks to come in and look through our schools and they kind of see that needs. We were at a Canyon County Kids Fair, which was a large event, and shared some information there. We also went and spoke with our service clubs and went to our senior center. We had some information for our businesses and spoke with our business chamber at the Chamber of Commerce and spoke with them and gave them information about the bond and what it would do. We spoke at an FFA breakfast and had some information there for folks. A lot of our athletic events had brochures and people there helping sharing that information. We also did some electronic stuff. We had some digital signage, looking around our school district with some of the signs that we have in front of our schools, help promote that. Our social media, we sent out a lot of information through that as well. We also did some media interviews and did some press releases and were able to speak and talk with some of the television and newspaper media. We also did a mailer where we sent out information through all our community about the upcoming event and directed them back to our website. And then we put posters as much as we could with businesses that would take those and walked around, and we really appreciated those businesses that kind of helped support us. So with all that information, that we got out there, we wanted to make sure that we could get as much transparent information as we could. And we heard some questions in a couple of those and just wanted to do some last minute addressing of those. And I think one of them was when we were at our community events, we had a question around why are we not seeing detailed plans? Why haven't we had an architect draw the plans about what's going to occur maybe at Napa High or a CTE center? So maybe we could talk a little bit about that.
Sure. I'll take that to start with, Cortney, if you would chime in. One of the big reasons is we just want to be fiscally responsible. And the idea of running a bond and spending significant amount of money putting out how those architectural things will get and where they go to, we wanted to make sure that we were transparent and we were just vision boarding, if you will, for folks of here's the possibilities that could happen. And then we have some work to do if the bond does pass of where we go with that, and we want some community input on some of those decisions and want to make sure that we do this in a very logistic and thought out process, that we include the community and also demonstrate the need in our community.
To jump in and add a little bit more information about the cost of the architectural designs, roughly that price tag is about 6.5% to 8% of the total cost of a bond package. Now, if you think about those numbers, that's pretty staggering. And currently, we did not want to send out or use that much money to expense on a project that we still needed to get the public input on.
And one of the other questions came, I think, at our last Napa High community event, and this was a great question we thought was, why did we go ahead and put money into the school to fix the roof? We put a new gym floor on there if we're looking at possibly someday having the school move somewhere else.
Right. Yeah, I think the easy piece of that is we still have kids in school. We want to make sure that we take care of buildings so that kids can be in there and have a good educational experience. So those were just needed repairs that have been on the books as far as needs for some time, and we had the capacity and ability to do it here currently. So we didn't want to have leaky roofs, and we wanted to have a facility for kids to be able to play. Just a side note on that gym, it's the same gym floor that I played on, and I won't tell you how many years ago, but it was more than 20. So with that, we were down to the base where we could not sand it anymore as well.
Having been involved in Napa High, to echo Cortney's thoughts there for sure, the floor couldn't be repaired any longer. It was at that spot that we had to replace it. And again, not knowing where the bond would go, we want to make sure that we give our kids the best opportunities that we can. And if our recommendation does go through, if the bond passes, we plan on using that floor for another 20, 40, 60 years. And so it is an investment in our community.
Yeah, and there is no guarantee that Napa High would be moved. I mean, I think that's important, that was just a recommendation from our facilities committee. That decision has not been decided, but it was part of that plan that was recommended. And as we mentioned, that the athletic complexes, those would stay. And so that floor would be used for a while. One of the other questions came in through our website and talked around COVID money. Why are we not using COVID money for maybe some of the needs in the bond?
Well, one of the big pieces of that, Dr. Russell, is that COVID money could only be used for certain things. And also, the amount of COVID money that we received and what those things could be used for weren't enough to do the capital improvements needed in our portfolio of buildings. Again, as we talked about, the average age of our buildings is 42 years old, and that in and of itself isn't, the COVID money wasn't going to be able to make a dent in the way we needed. However, we did use some COVID funds for some things that were needed in buildings, much like the Napa High scenario of doing what we could to give our kids the opportunity we can with the funds we have, but the COVID funds would not replace that need that we have across our community and our entire portfolio.
And the last kind of common question that came out when we were out in the community, maybe some of our service groups speaking, had to do with this question around the district has asked quite a few times about needs and coming forth and confusion around, is this a bond or is this a levy?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a common misconception. I think for many people, we have a struggle as far as what's a bond and levy and how come we're asking for money, which seems like every year. And I think the best way to do this is we've used an analogy on purchasing a car and the maintenance of a car. The capital improvements here, the capital component is the bond part, which is purchasing the vehicle. The levy piece is that part that allows us to put tires on the car, change the oil, upgrade the transmission fluids when that needs to happen. So all those things that keep the longevity of the car going is what we use our levy money for. So a bond in this case can be used for building new buildings, and the levy can help us support those buildings.
So it's been quite a while. I hope that's some good information for you. We've tried the hardest we could to get that information out for you. Really hope that you get to the polls tomorrow and make your voice heard. Thank you so much.